Hello and welcome to the Transformational Speakers Podcast. I'm your host, Erin Lohman-Jeck, and today I'm excited to bring to you Petra Mayer. She's an online learning expert and group coaching profit accelerator. She works with high-achieving professionals such as coaches, consultants, and experts who are serious about incorporating online courses and group programs into their organizational service offering. Through her systematic approach, Petra helps her clients gain clarity and overcome barriers in order to create online programs that attract their ideal clients and result in freedom entrepreneurs seek in their business. Petra's brilliance lies in helping her clients build out a full course structure of online courses and group programs. Like no other mentor, her clients appreciate Petra's patient, unwavering commitment to support them through technical challenges of this new online business without jargon and fanfare. So welcome, Petra.
Thank you so much, Erin. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for hosting me.
Yes, I'm excited because I love, I'm always talking about having multiple streams of income and how other ways that your people, your ideal clients, can get access to you and your gifts to this world. So tell us a little bit more about how you've got started in this industry and kind of where you take people.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for that question. I would say the only thing that was constant in my life so far has been change. It's been a very interesting ride and through many, many, many chapters of my life. And more recently, in 2011, I was leaving my job and I started my business. And ever since then, even, I've been continuously changing in my business and adapting and learning new things and then bringing new things in the market. And it's been very, very exciting. I come from a corporate background, where I was an e-commerce manager in my last role. And so when I started my business, I continued working on that path, website strategies, etc. Then I realized it wasn't really making my heart sing anymore, and I wanted to change. And that's when I did my coaching certification. And as part of that, we did a lot of work with groups, and I loved working with groups. So that was clear to me that I wanted to do more work with groups. And also I'm one of those weird people that actually doesn't mind looking into a camera and feeling like I am with my clients. So I actually really love working online, and I wanted to bring that closer to my clients as well. And I love the freedom that it gives me of being location independent and being able to work from home and having my dog by my side and, doing all those things. And I want to be able to pass that on to my clients. So I really, about 5 years ago, I started on this path, and it's been quite a learning journey. There's been so many opportunities for me to learn, to stretch, to grow personally as well as in my business. And so that's how I got into this. And sometimes I'm being asked, when did you decide, or how did you decide that you teach others to create courses? And the funny thing is, I do not know. I don't recall. It just seemed to suddenly happen. And suddenly I had programs helping my clients to create programs. And that's what I really love doing. And I think that's where my brilliance lies, in that area.
I love it. Well, I think it's true. I think you can serve only so many people if you're doing a one-to-one model. Yes. And so you really have to figure out, okay, let's leverage my time and let's do a group program. Let's do online courses. And I think, it was for me a tipping point when I went from just one-on-one to having courses to sell online. Yeah. And so tell me about your very first time putting together a online course and then launching it.
Yeah. So, I kind of thought, this can't be so difficult. And I just had my idea because I realized how many people were struggling with websites. Entrepreneurs, they didn't know what to put on their website. They didn't know how to design it. They didn't know how to work with a developer, or if they needed to work with a developer, if they wanted to work on their own. So that was my first course. It was all about creating a website strategy. And so I put it out there, and I got some people to sign up. I made it, a beta program, $100 or whatever I charged for it. And I got these people through this program. And then I realized in the feedback that they weren't getting the transformation I thought that they would get. They weren't so gung-ho about this fabulous program that I created as I was. And I'm kind of thinking, oh, that's odd. Okay, so I've got to do another one. So I've created a second program, totally different topic. It was more about online monetization. I had this big idea about online monetization, created another course and put that out there, and I had the same effect. And that's when I realized I didn't really know how to do this. I just thought I knew how to do this, but I didn't. So that's when I started, following other mentors and taking courses myself, and then putting those things together in my own way. Because what I find out there is a lot of the programs about creating courses, they're what I kind of call a bit cookie cutter. This is how I did it. This is how I want you to do it. Follow my steps exactly, and then put that out there. I don't believe in that. I'm, one of those freedom seekers. I like that everybody has their own way, and I want to support that. So in my program, I'm doing a more of an exploration up front. What is it that you want from your business and from your life, and what program would support that? And who are your clients, your ideal clients, the ones you love to work with, and what program would support them? And then really build that program or the series of programs to support your desire, how you want to build your business, and to support your ideal clients. And that's kind of, I think, where my programs became unique and are different to what is in the market out there.
Yeah. And for me, my first course is my Transformational Speakers Academy. I did the same thing, created it after, I think, Experts Academy with Brendan. I sat down and we had mapped it all out, and then we had to get in groups and just share, here's what you're going to get in this group. This is what it's going to look like. Here are the things, the 6 weeks, here's what it is. And I remember looking up after reading it to this group of VIPs, looking up and they go, here's my card, I'm ready. And I was like, whoa, okay, so I know what I have is worth something, right? Yeah. But I think the problem sometimes is we think we know what our clients need, right? But the way they need it, or maybe the words that they need, or maybe we say, oh, you need to learn how to get speaking gigs, because this is what people come to me all the time with. I'm like, no, you actually need to know how to have a talk that converts. Yeah. And that conversion piece, whether or not you have speaking gigs, what you really want out of speaking gigs is more money and serving more people. Yeah. And so if you're not doing that well in one area, then people are not going to be searching for you to come speak to their group, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I think testing your audience, finding out, surveying them, finding out exactly what they would want. And then you can even survey them and ask them what they would pay for it.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. So I think I always like my clients to start with their audience and to really center it around the audience. But you also want to be really clear about what kind of lifestyle do you want, so that you're building a course that actually supports that. I think there's a lot of course creators who create a course, and then after a year or so, they hate having the course because it ties them down, or they have too much of their one-on-one time in it, or they don't actually feel the connection with their client. They went the opposite way, and it really doesn't serve them, and it doesn't serve their clients. So it's really figuring out what is it that you want, and what are the right programs for you to offer, and how do you offer programs where one leads elegantly to the others. So your clients stay with you for a longer period of time. You create a deeper transformation for them. You don't have to consistently find new clients. You work with your clients over a long period of time, and you get a much better connection. And I think that's what people want. They want the connection. They want the personal touch. And that's what they're also prepared to pay for.
Right. I think that's the piece that a lot of courses are missing, is the intimacy of getting access to the person who is actually created the course. Right. And I think having that component, because I remember when I first launched it, most people got to about week 3 or 4, and it's 6 weeks, and then they quit. Mm-hmm. And so when I went back and asked, a lot of them like, oh, shiny object, I found other things I was going to do, and I love your stuff, it's great. But what I realized was some people got stuck if it was just an online course, and it was go at your own pace. And it's interesting because I'm totally opposite. I just bought an online course this week, and I've watched all 9 hours already. And because I know when I find something that's really good, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to use this stuff and turn around and do something with it right away. Right. Yeah. Where I think a lot of times people drop off, they're like, oh, I watched the first 4. And then I'm like, Yeah. And so what do you say about that part of the industry that, only 20% go through it, or whatever that statistic is. What is it you think that's doing that for people?
Well, firstly, honestly, it makes me really sad that is a fact in the industry. And partially, I think it is what you just mentioned earlier, that shiny object syndrome. I think there is a lot of people in this industry, a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs, particularly, I think, who are easily influenced, who are, they're shown this fabulous outcome, potential fabulous outcome, and it's presented in a way as, if you buy my course, you'll get this outcome. And that's not true. It is, you have to buy the course and do the work to get the outcome. If you don't do the work, you're not going to get the outcome. It doesn't come by putting in your credit card.
Right.
So I think that's the sad thing that is happening in the industry, that so many people are buying so many courses and they don't complete any of them. And then, at the end of the year, they look back and they haven't actually progressed. If anything, maybe it's gotten worse because now their cost has skyrocketed, but they haven't been able to turn it into more revenue.
Yeah.
Now that's part of the audience. The other part is like you buy what you need, you go and turn it around, you use it, you build on it, and you improve your business, and you keep learning. I mean, we have this fantastic opportunity to keep learning all the time. I'm a bit of a learning junkie myself. I love learning, and I'm in lots of courses, but I always put attention to the courses. Not that I say I've never bought a course that I didn't do. I have done that too. I've become better in saying, that actually doesn't work for me. I'm not having a money tree here. So I need to really be clear, is this the program for me? Is this the program that helps me to go through the next step? Or if not, if I have some doubts or something, then not buy it. Actually really make a conscious decision to say no. Now, I don't know if you've heard this. I suspect you did, because you've been at events, etc., and you hear this mentor who says from the stage, one of the first things you have to do before money comes in your pocket, you have to spend money, and in this form or in some other form. And I personally think that's self-serving, and it's not actually for the person in front of them. It's for themselves. And when somebody says that, I actually think that we need to give people, we need to treat them like adults, because that's who they are. They need to have responsibilities for their business and for their money and for their budget, and to make conscious decisions if this is the right fit for them. I'd much rather have a person say no to me than say yes to me and drop out of my course. I have this big ambition that everybody who does my course actually completes it and launches their program. And if not, then I see that as a personal failure for me. And
Totally
so
right.
That's where I think, that personal investment in my client's success is quite different. And that's why my programs are small. And I've chosen it. This was a journey for me as well. At the beginning, I was blinded by the shiny objects too. And you think like, oh yeah, I want to have hundreds of people in my programs. And after a while, I'm thinking like, I actually don't think that's me. I actually much prefer that I know everybody who is in my course, that I have personal conversations with them, that they feel okay to call me when they have, then they're stuck or in trouble. And they'd rather say, hey, Petra can help me out to come through this. And then I'm on the other side and I can continue in my program. I feel much better about that. It makes me sleep better at night. And I feel like I'm making a difference. I don't think I would make a difference if I had 100 people sign in my program and only 2 completed. I'd rather have 2 people who've signed up in my program and 2 completed and they're successful. And then I know that I've made that impact. So it's just a different way of looking how we interact in this industry and who we want to be and how we show up in our business, I think.
For sure. And let's talk about group coaching, because this has always been an interesting thing for me. I'm also committed to people's transformation. And it frustrates me when they pay in full and don't show up.
Oh, yeah.
Like you just said, like, I am so committed to you getting from point A to point B. I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I really, from my end, I will give you everything. Yeah. But you got to do the work, right? Yeah. And at least show up and pretend you're doing the work, I guess. But it's been an epidemic for me. So for me, and I'll just speak for me, that I struggle with group coaching because I find people really show up in my one-on-ones, but when it gets to be the group coaching, I it's a hit or miss. And so not like my online courses and like walking people through the weeks of that's a little different, but really filling a group coaching program. So what would you say if somebody's looking at coaching, right? Is the one-on-one model to the group coaching model?
Well, I think I go back to what I said earlier, and this is for me what I'm using as a symbol for business strategy, and I use the bridge as a symbol for business strategy. When you look at a bridge, there's the one pillar on one side of the river or the gap or wherever you're bridging across. So that first pillar, that is you. That is you, who you are, what you want out of life, how you want to interact with your clients, what fills you, what is your aspiration, what are your pain points, everything about you, how you show up in your business. And then on the other side, on the other pillar, that's your ideal client. And again, they've got aspirations, they have pain points, they have desires, they have limitations from family life, etc., all that. Now, what you're building in between the bridge itself, those building blocks, I think, are the services that you put out there. So if you build your bridge in the proper place, that means that you're building services that will be fulfilling for you, and they will be fulfilling for your clients. And you build the right type of services. Now, in your case, you seem to love the one-on-one and really see the effect it has, and that fulfills you. So that is, for you, maybe the better way to integrate one-on-one into your programs. And it also makes your clients being more accountable to the progress, and so they get better results. So it's more fulfilling to them as well. So this may be a bigger building block in your bridge, is to put in more one-on-one. Now, that doesn't mean that you let go of all leverage strategies. So for example, what you can do is create a program where a lot of your teaching components are pre-recorded. So they give you and your clients flexibility. And then the breakthrough, the coaching, you can do shorter one-on-one sessions, or you can offer perhaps a business hour where people can come for questions and then do one-on-one. You can combine it in any way how it works best for you and your clients. I think we don't need to follow models. We can be, there is no limit to creativity of how your program looks. And I find what I do in one of my courses is that I offer a VIP day. Every month there's a VIP day. And what we do is we come together as a group in the morning, and then everybody sets themselves up for a piece of work that they want to achieve that day. Off they go, but I leave my Zoom session open, and they can come in anytime they need me. I'm here, with the exception of a lunch break. And then at the end of the day, we can all come back together. Now, some clients, I can bet on them. They will always show up in that office hour, in that open space, because they actually want that interaction. They're external processors. They want feedback. They want a different perspective on it. That helps them to make progress. Other clients, I can almost guarantee they will never show up in there because they're self-doers. They're self-reliant. So giving people the opportunity to choose the learning process that is best for them, that serves them the best, I think it's the best way to set up your programs. And to then not feel it's personal when they don't show up. It's just that they actually don't need it. So they're giving you the space, and they use the space for themselves.
Yeah, I love that, because I've always thought about it as, and I know like in my industry, people get scared. I remember you and I sitting in the Facebook, it was a Facebook seminar, right? Workshop. Yeah. But when people started looking at the audience sizes of their ads, the anxiety was thick in the room. They were like, 2 million, 8 million people could see this. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, oh, it made me realize for the first time, me taking somebody's message and helping them get on a stage with it can be because you're going to be seen. Yeah. You're going to be seen. And I think that really helped layer that extra spot for me to see that, because I'm not afraid of that stuff. I'm not afraid of being seen. I'm not afraid. I've already walked past it a long time ago, but I forget there's that gap that I walked through I guess quietly, because it was when I was learning to do this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I went, oh, I need to go back and address that, because I think that becomes one of the barriers to telling their story and getting out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I literally have people pay me in full and never show up.
Oh, isn't
And
that
I
so
hate
sad?
that.
Yeah, very sad. But I totally agree that that can be one of the big strong suits in your program, is to go back to what it was to start out with and reconnect with that and bring that how you broke through that to your clients, because that's what they came to you for. It's not for the destination, it's for the how to travel through that journey. Because yes, the destination is the appealing thing that gets them in there, but in order to get there, they need to get through those breakthroughs. So I can totally relate how, when I started with the public speaking 2.5 years ago, oh my God, at the beginning, all I could do is stand there and cry. I couldn't do anything else but cry. And it was such a journey for me to get myself up on the stage and talk. And, the tears can still come. It still happens to me, but it's not as debilitating anymore as it was at that beginning. I thought like I was going through hell. And it's not that I'm afraid to speak in front of people, but there was something else about that vulnerability to put yourself and your message out there in front of the people in the room. And the stage was just frightening for me. Absolutely
sure.
frightening. So I can relate to your clients. And that's where I think it's so important to make them feel so safe that they step into the next thing. I believe we need to accept that there will always be some people who sign up for our programs and don't show up, or that sign up and then the next day they have this buyer's remorse and they backpedal. And it's frustrating because we know in a year's time we'll see them and they're still stuck in the same spot, and we could have helped them to get out of there. But time must be right for them too.
Yeah. They have to commit to it, because if they, it was funny. So the course I just bought recently was this sales course, and I really liked it. It's something through Mind Valley. And what I loved is that she said, your job as a coach to walk them through the fears.
Mm-hmm.
Walk them through that. And it's like, okay, so looking at some of those things first in your messaging and set them up knowing that these are things that are going to come up for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing that was awesome for me was even backpedaling and thinking about, when you look at your ideal audience, this is something I have not done before, was look at the psychology makeup of those people. And the things that usually triggered you, like mine used to be, I'm not worthy. People are going to find out I'm a fraud. What was the other thing? I didn't have the money, right? I was all these things that I didn't want people to know back then. And so those are the things that kept me stuck.
Yeah.
And if you actually use your marketing to overcome those objections and handle, are you feeling like you're not enough? Like you don't even know if your story is going to sell. You don't know if you're going to have anything to offer, like all of those things. Then people are like, oh yes. And she said, the last thing is that commitment level is at the end of the call, when you're getting their collecting their information and they're reading off their credit card or whatever, you ask them to breathe, get back in their body, because some people are, like you said, buy on impulse, and they're just like, okay, I have to give you my card, but they're really not in their body. They might be in their head. They might not. It's just like kind of like going through the motions. But when you ask someone to stop and breathe, and make sure they're committing, because giving you the credit card is just a task, but truly it's that step of commitment. I thought that was really brilliant, because I was like, oh, we're just so like, okay, give me the information. It's like just checking it off, and I'll send you the contract and I'll send you this and whatever. But when you really think about it, the people that are truly committing are the people that need to be in their body. They need to truly step into that when they're doing that motion. So I thought that was really great.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many, when you learn about how to do your enrollment conversations, etc. There's so many who say you've got to get that credit card right away and get them to put a down payment down, because then, and yes, I have seen that where people, once they've paid, suddenly they're like, okay, I've crossed through that door now, and now I'm in, and now I'm fully in. But I also find that often enough, that I need to give people more extra time and say, you know what, you take this away and you think about it and we'll reconnect in a couple of days. I want you to be 100% comfortable that this is the right thing. And I find for me, it's totally draining my energy if I have to resell myself every time I speak to the person. And sometimes you get people who are signing up and then, they keep questioning themselves all the way through. My goodness, is that energy draining if you have to kind of recommit the other person to what they're doing every time you see them. I find that maybe timing isn't perfect for them. Maybe it's their personality that they keep questioning everything they're doing. I don't know, but I find it very stressful when you have clients who are going through that. I much rather have the clients who perhaps it takes them a little longer to make the decision to go, but then once they did, they're like 100% in, and I can see how they're working on it and how they're taking advantage of everything that I offer them, and they're trusting my guidance, and that's satisfying to work with somebody like that. So it's much more about, so who really do you want to work with, and how many of those people can you handle to work with and to give everything that you want to give to them? Because I think the majority of us, we can't have hundreds or thousands of clients. I mean, when you look at these large programs that have so many, how much access do you get to the person?
None.
Like, none. Yeah.
Some of those programs cost $30,000-$60,000 and you get no access.
You get no access. And then they put it in a Facebook group, and perhaps you get a response if you're lucky to your post. But I bet you what, it's a different person writing it. It's not the mentor that sells. So I find that frustrating, because I think there is a lot of that going on in the industry, that perhaps some of these programs are not what they're telling themselves to be, or what they're telling others that they are. And I find as clients, when we're buying into a program, we need to be really clear on, is this really going to serve me? Is this the style of program? Is this the level of support that I need right now to help me to get through these points that you said, to get through the pain, to get through the fear? I mean, it's you're speaking about public speaking and the fear of, I can totally relate to the fear of getting on the stage. I find that, interestingly enough, with course creators, I think I'm seeing the same level of fear. Like, what do I have that I think clients would buy, that they would pay this much money for in my course? How do I get myself out there? Like, how do I actually even get in front of clients with an online course? How do I handle the technology? I mean, there's so many fear points that people bring. That's why I think there's a lot of courses out there to create your course in 30 days or in 60 days. And, what I'm observing with my clients, it takes them 60 days to get through the fear point, to actually put a stake in the sand of what they want to create. So, I think, and maybe those are different clients. Maybe they've already done a lot of the work and now show up for doing the doing. The people that come to me, it's more, they need to still make that upfront work, that who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up? Who are my clients? What are their pain points? And then, okay, now that I know that, how do I best serve them? What's the program going to look like? And then the technology part, the doing part is actually a much smaller piece of the whole journey.
Right. And I think people go, I have to put something online. I'm not good at computers. I'm not good at,
yes.
I can't code. It's not about that.
No,
there are some programs that it's really like cutting and pasting. Like my Kajabi is like cut and paste of an email kind of thing for creating a course. Like it can be really simple and you don't have to overcomplicate it. There are stuff out there for you, but it's truly like, what do you think about pre-selling a course before you create it?
Yeah, I love pre-selling a course before you create it, but it only works for certain types of courses again. And so I actually believe that people should start with higher end programs rather than with a small self-study course. If they have a higher end program, which is often a group coaching program or a group program of some sort, they can sell into those programs through consultations. So a lot of people start and they do some sort of networking. So they get in front of people more in a one-on-one type way. They might do coffee dates. They might have, their network that they go to every month, or even more often, they might be in 2 networks. So if you have a group coaching program, you can actually start selling into that program directly through those conversations. And they are probably going to charge a higher price because there's more of their personal time involved. So you get into making money quicker. You also, with the pre-selling, you can then pre-sell that program. You need to have a certain level of understanding what the program is going to be, because otherwise you don't have anything to sell.
Right.
And then you ask
an imaginary program.
Yes,
Join me.
Join my program. Don't know yet what it is. No, you have to have some sort of a clue of what transformation you're creating and what the sequence in will be. And then you get started with your group. You might have only 5 people. You might have 10 people into that program. But let's say you charge $1,000. You charge even perhaps $2,000 for that course. So you're making some money, and every time you're speaking to your people, you can ask them, so what's your next biggest question? What's the next thing that is really important for you to learn? And you can incorporate that into that next module. So you're building the course to the needs of your clients. Apart from, the outline that you've created, you will enhance it as you're speaking to your clients. And at the end of that, you have created a program. Now a lot of people think, and then I take just these recordings and I put them out there and that's my automated course. And that's a killer to this program. It's going to kill the program. It's going to kill your reputation. You really then need to say, okay, now I know what my content is going to be. But before I automate this program, I need to recreate it in a way that is digestible for somebody who is going through an automated program. You have to cut down the content pieces that, your sessions were probably an hour, maybe even 90 minutes. You can't give them an hour or 90-minute video and say they'll be happy with that. They're not going to be happy with that. So take that content and cut it into smaller pieces, re-record those into videos that are digestible, that have a proper beginning and end, and that really build on each other, and put that into a curriculum for an automated program. So there is another piece of work, but I love the pre-selling because it means that you're creating something that people have already said, I'm interested, and you're taking your ideal clients' ideas into your final curriculum development and into your finessing of your curriculum. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, this was kind of crazy. It's still one of my crazy moments, but I left 3 seminars back to back to back in LA. So like 3 weeks away from home. And I always take the day after the event to just sit and implement. So I always take that extra day. So it was after Chalene Johnson, and I thought about it that people didn't know how to do Facebook Live. And I was getting thousands of views, and I was like, oh, I'm obviously onto something. And people kept asking me about it. And I was like, well, Chalene just taught a lot about it. She just taught a lot about the things you should be doing in them. What if I take what I learned from that and all the things I know and kind of come up with a bullet point of like 4 to 5 things that I could teach? And so I was like, okay, so that day I pulled out my computer, created a landing page, created a sales page, and then announced everywhere I was going live. And I put out there that I was going to teach a course on how to do Facebook Live. Mm-hmm. And I shared a lot of the goodies that I'd learned, but not the hows. And then I actually asked on the live, is there anything you want to know? Because I don't know what you don't know. And sometimes it's like, oh, I didn't know you could actually flip the camera, or I didn't know you could do these things. These are things I know, but I might not think about that you might need, right? So I literally asked the audience, and they gave me a whole list. And I was like, great, I can throw those things in there too. So like for my 4 to 5 points went to like 10 points. And now it's a bigger, more robust program. And I only sold it. It was in a beta. And I told them, I straight out said on the video, if no one buys it, I'm not making it.
Yeah.
and they like, oh, so that's kind of like a takeaway in a way, but I wasn't doing it for that. I just was like, I'm not going to create this if nobody wants it.
Yes.
So I had to leave, go get on the airplane. And by the time I got home, I had already sold 27 of them.
Awesome.
And I was like, oh my gosh, it's that easy. Like you can be that quick. Like sometimes don't overthink it. Cause I think people go, I have to create a course. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. It's like, and what I did was I rolled out 1 week, each week, right?
Yeah.
So I would be like, okay, Monday is when your course content comes. on Sunday, I would spend that day writing up the stuff, getting it all together, putting it inside the Kajabi, having it all ready, and it would go live Monday.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think people get overwhelmed thinking that there's so much, but you can chunk this stuff up, right? Can you kind of alliterate what it takes? Like, don't be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah. No, one thing though, Erin, to be fair, is you have created courses before. You already know your platform. You've gone through a lot of learning curve. This is something that I think is for the more advanced course creator who already knows the tools of the trade.
Yeah.
So for you, we can do this because we've got our platform set up. We just know that we just want to find out what does the market need. And we know that we have to give ourselves a certain amount of time to be able to always be ahead of the course. But if you're starting new, this may be not the best way to doing it because you could get into deep trouble. And if you don't know how to create something in a live space that you then later rebuild in an automated space, give yourself that space, that could be a barrier. But when you are building out a bigger program, often it is built around your interactive material, anything that you do with your clients in a Zoom session, etc. So if you're building out a Zoom session and you say, I'm going to have a session with my people on Wednesday, and it's about, how to build a Facebook Live, how to set yourselves up, camera wise, you've got a perfect background behind you, your lighting is great, everything is fantastic. So how do you do that? For a lot of people, they have no idea how to do that. So that might be your first lesson. So you know that you're putting that out as the first lesson. And then you're just building out material with it. Oh, and perhaps I want to give them a download, something that a checklist, a cheat sheet or something. Okay, so I'm going to build that because I'm going to give them that in the live session. That's something that I think most people can handle and cope with. And then you have, okay, I know what the content is of my first module and I have my cheat sheet. So now I'm creating a little PowerPoint presentation about the content and I'm re-recording that. And now I have my first module ready for my course, for my automated course. And you do that later. But I find that us as course creators who've done this many times before, we can do what you've just demonstrated, what you did. I've just tried to do something very similar. I did an online workshop. And, this is when things don't go right. So, audience, it doesn't always work this well. So I did an online workshop. I had 29 people register for the workshop. I had 2 people show up. I was shocked, 10% show up rate, even less. I was really shocked. Okay, so after half an hour, another person comes, and after another half hour, another person comes. And 90 minutes in my call, I'm coming to the end of my content. Zoom quits on me, throws me out of my own session, and I cannot for the life of it get back into Zoom. Everything, I'm typing into zoom.us and it says, not available or whatever. I'm thinking Zoom has a breakdown until one of the people on my session called me and said, hey, what's happening with you? We're waiting for you to come back. And I said, I cannot for the life of it come back into this call. Zoom doesn't let me back in. So there was a whole bunch of things. I had to restart the computer, restart the modem. By that time, of course, everybody had left. So I was never able to make my offer for a course that I would have created for this group. Same as you, I hadn't created it. I had my outline. That's all I've created. So clearly I didn't create this course because nobody bought it, because I wasn't even able to make an offer at this, online workshop that really didn't work out the way that I had intended it to be. So the positive side of that is I didn't put probably 20, 30 hours into creating this course. I have an outline that I could still create at one stage, but at this point, I'm not putting this time into it because ultimately I don't have a proof from the market that it will work. And perhaps the market wasn't very in my favor. On maybe I should have not done this on Cyber Monday, so that might have been a bad mistake too. So I mean, but the point is that when you're doing it this way, you know that when you're putting the time into creating the material, it's worthwhile doing it. So going back to the pre-selling, where I said, it doesn't work for all courses. If you were to pre-sell a lower end fully automated course, you actually have to put the time into the creation of that course upfront. So you really need to be quite clear that your market will want that. And that's why I recommend to do it more with a higher end program, a group program, maybe in the beta version, put it out at half price, maybe run it twice as a beta before you transition it into your automated program. And then you will be quite certain that what you've got is what your people will need.
For sure. So I know you have like this little blueprint for us. So can you tell us about your blueprint?
Yeah, so the Ultimate Course Creation Blueprint is kind of summarizing some of the lessons I've learned that I felt nobody was ever telling me about. And so there's 5 different secrets in there that really look at how you're building a business that is centered around your courses, that you're building out as courses, and what you need to think about with regards to strategic thinking as well as the more tactical. And I also address a little bit technology in there, because I know a lot of people come with this big thing and think that technology is going to be so overwhelming. So I'm breaking that myth down in that document as well. And I'd love to make that available to your audience. So It's the Ultimate Course Creation Blueprint. And you can get that at petramayerconsulting.com/course creation blueprint.
Awesome.
And I think you're going to put this link down, so I don't need to
I'll
do
put
the
it.
spelling and everything.
I'll put it down in the
Awesome.
show notes.
Yes, that's great. Thank you for doing that.
That's awesome. So one last thing I always ask is, I always talk about our future self. So my future self, I call her ELJ. She runs a $40 million company. And when I have times where I need to figure out, where am I going? What am I doing? Oh man, I need to borrow some confidence. I kind of bring her up in my mind and have a conversation. So if your future self was to come to you today, what would she tell you? What advice would she give you?
Yeah, so I think my future self would give me the advice to trust myself and to listen to my gut, and also to really find the answer in myself and not look for anybody else for the answer, and really kind of go my own path, which may be a path that is one of lots of variations, because that seems to be the journey. The lesson is in the journey, and it's not necessarily in the result we're creating. So that's maybe the journey that I need to go, is just doing a lot of different things in my life. And if, that I'm coming to another fork in the path, maybe it's time for exploring different things, and just be open to doing that and not holding on to things I've created just because I have.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here. It was amazing. I love all of this stuff. And I'm excited because I know a lot of my audience has ideas and needs to get it out there and serve the world in a better way. I always say there's so many more streams of income that you have no idea that you can leverage to, I call sleep coin, make money while you sleep.
Yes.
So I love this. If you want more information, please check out the links below in the show notes, and we will see you on stage.